Thank you so much. We'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our platinum sponsor, Climate First Bank, and our bronze sponsors, Lynn and David Barrelsman, and Voting Voices, Michael Levy, Lori and Richard Wack, and Charlie Williams. If our sponsors are here, would you please stand to be recognized? Thank you so much. As our platinum sponsor, Climate First Bank is honored to sponsor today's Hot Topic Luncheon celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. As a mission-driven organization, Climate First Bank offers a range of products that empower customers to use finance as a force for good. Just announced at Climate First Bank, we choose the rate and you choose the product. Earn 5.34% APY on their special choice money market, 15-month flex CDs, or a choice checking account. Speak to them today about their impact banking products, and there's a table right in the corner. Absolutely stop over and chat with them a bit. You can speak to them today, like I said, at the table in the corner about how you can make an impact with using your wallet. All right, now it's time to acknowledge our elected officials or candidates in the room. If you would all come to the side mic and introduce yourselves, your name as well as your office, please. And audience, if you would please hold your applause until the end, or at least till everyone's finished. Thank you. Ooh. Hello.
Okay, my name is Allison Crestes, and I am a circuit judge in the Ninth Circuit serving Orange and Osceola counties.
Afternoon, I'm Doug Walker. I'm an Orange County judge.
I'm Andrew Bain. I'm the state attorney for the Ninth Judicial Circuit.
Bill Cowell, still your Orange County Supervisor of Elections.
Hi, I'm Karen Castor-Dental. I'm a member of the Orange County School Board, and Bill announced he's retiring, so I am a candidate for Supervisor of Elections.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rishi Bhaga. I'm a candidate for the Florida House of Representatives, District 35, in the upcoming special election.
Good afternoon. I'm Scott Randolph, your Orange County tax collector.
Good afternoon, afternoon. My name is Maruchi Guzman. I'm running in the House District 35 special election.
Bienvenido. My name is Senator Victor Manuel Torres Jr. I represent District 25, which is all of Osceola and part of Orange County, and thank you for having me here today.
Buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carmen Torres, and I'm following in his footsteps. I'm running for State Senate District 25.
Hi, my name is Melissa Vickers, and I'm a candidate for Public Defender for the Ninth Judicial Circuit, which is Orange and Osceola counties. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of our elected officials and candidates. And now to the meat and bones of the thing. The League of Women Voters of Orange County, in its commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and access in all that we do, is proud to present our hot topics today. Latina Leadership and Legacy, a celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. We come together to celebrate the remarkable legacy of Latina leadership that has shaped and continue to enrich our society. This month provides a vibrant platform to honor the countless contributions of Central Florida Latinas who have blazed trails across fields, leaving an indelible mark on communication services, education, public policy, politics, culture, and beyond. With resilience, innovation, and determination, they have risen to award-winning levels in their field. Their stories inspire us to recognize the power of diversity and to embrace the rich tapestry of experiences that make up our shared community. As we reflect on their achievements, we are reminded of the invaluable role that Latinas play in shaping our world, and we are driven to ensure that their voices and visions continue to drive progress for generations to come. As we begin our conversation, we are grateful to the Hot Topics Committee, who recognized the importance of this panel and organized it for today's event. And our board members, Ana Alvarez-Boyd and Tamara Rivera, who provided guidance and insight in the planning. It is my pleasure to introduce our moderator today, Nancy Alvarez. Nancy Alvarez, WESH 2 News anchor, is a bilingual journalist with more than 20 years on the anchor desk and in the field covering the biggest stories in the nation and in Central Florida in both English and Spanish. She started her broadcast journalism career in the Orlando market in 2000 and has reported on various hurricanes, the Pulse nightclub massacre, and launches from the Space Coast. Alvarez is the first Central Florida reporter to travel to Puerto Rico following Hurricane Maria, subsequently returning to the island multiple times to cover the damage and recovery efforts. Alvarez also works closely with many other civic and charitable organizations. In 2021, Alvarez became an advocate for the importance of cancer screening after her own breast cancer diagnosis. Her message about early detection inspired numerous women to get mammograms at a time many had gone unchecked because of the pandemic. Let us give a warm welcome to Nancy Alvarez.
Muy buenas tardes. Good afternoon. Muchas gracias a la Liga de Mujeres Votantes por esta oportunidad tan linda de estar aquí con ustedes. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to be here with you today. So no, I'm not going to do the whole thing in English and Spanish, but I wanted to start us out in both of my languages, because I think if you pause and you look around and listen, you will see that we are very much living in a bilingual community here in Central Florida, where Spanish flows just as freely as English, and I think it's a beautiful thing. It's flowing in this room, just as we were saying hello to each other. And so on that note, es mi placer, it is my pleasure to introduce to you our wonderful panel today. We begin with Laurie Campo. Laurie, you can come up. Laurie's journey began at esteemed institutions such as the Puerto Rico Senate, the Department of Education, and the city of Vega Alta. In 2011, she came to Orlando with her family, where she quickly established herself as a prominent figure fostering Hispanic relations within Central Florida. Her experience as a Spanish language teacher provided invaluable insights into our education system. In 2019, Laurie's skills and dedication led her to be appointed Deputy Director for Hispanic Federation Florida, the nation's premier Latino nonprofit organization. She did so much during that time with COVID, with voter registration, work related to the census. In 2021, she ascended to the Hispanic Federation Florida State Director position and works on so many issues impacting really all of us, including affordable housing, immigration, environmental justice, economic advancement, and education. Thank you, Laurie, for being here with us. Sammy Jaimán Marrero. Sammy is the CEO of Urbander, an award-winning communications agency that harnesses the power of storytelling to help entities in the corporate, government, and nonprofit sectors connect and engage. Under her leadership, Urbander received the Orlando Business Journal's Diversity in Business Helping Hand Award. in 2020 for their cause-based work and its impact on underrepresented, underserved, and underestimated communities. In 2017, Sammy founded SOS Orlando, a nonprofit that helps mitigate gaps in the community. This led to the establishment of Casa Culture, a collaborative arts equity and entrepreneurship development program that affords artists of color a safe place to connect and create and collaborate. Recognized as a 2023 Central Floridian for the Year finalist by the Orlando Sentinel, Sammy is one of the nation's leading experts specializing in the U.S. Hispanic market. Thank you for being here. All right, up next, mi amiga, Joanna Lopez. Joanna Lopez is an Afro-Latina. She served as an AP Spanish teacher at Colonial High for 19 years, earning the distinction of 2017 OCPS Teacher of the Year. I remember hosting that. Ay, Dios mío. Oh my God, time flies. Okay, in 2018, her campaign for school board was fully run by current or former OCPS students. Yeah, Joanna was elected as the first Latina to serve OCPS on the school board, and in 2022, she was elected to the Florida State House in a campaign, once again, run by youth. She proudly represents House District 43. Thank you for being here. Amy Mercado is our Orange County property appraiser. Amy was elected to the office in November of 2020. She has vast experience, including operations, budget management, team leadership, and public policy. In 2016, she was elected as a state rep for Florida House District 48 and was subsequently re-elected in 2018, serving on a wide array of committees, including as the ranking member of the important Ways and Means Committee. Most recently, Amy served as the Director of Operations for a National Commodity Board, where she was responsible for managing a multi-million-dollar budget, reputation and crisis management, organizational leadership, vendor procurement compliance, and human resources. Thank you, Amy, for being here. So, here it is, ladies. Let's give a round of applause to our first ever all Latina panel for a Hot Topics luncheon for the League of Women Voters. I just wanted to tell you for just a moment that when I heard this would be a first for this organization, I thought about really what an honor it is, right, for all of us to participate in this. And we know the League hosted a luncheon for Black History Month, and it was very successful, and that could have been enough. You know, it really could have been enough when it comes to efforts for equity and inclusion. And some would say you didn't have to do this, right, for Hispanic Heritage Month. But here's the thing, you did. Because our numbers tell our story. Right now, the population in Orange County is just over 30% Hispanic. In neighboring Osceola, it's 54%. Just this week, Orange County Public Schools released an updated number on their student population. 56% of the district is made up of Hispanic students. So it's clear if you're an organization or a business who wants to grow and thrive in this community, connecting and understanding this major slice of the community is imperative. I know our panel will have much more to share on this growth of our community and really how much easier it is than you think to connect with us, because our issues are your issues. We're all in it for the same end game. So with that, I'd like to turn it to our panel for the other part of this story. And I want to begin by having you each introduce yourselves in a different way. And where is our timekeeper before I go further? There you are, perfect. I just want to make sure you guys saw her there. So I wanted you each to introduce yourselves in a different way, and I'll start. I am first generation in this country. My parents came here from Cuba, and that laid the foundation for every single thing I am in my life and every single thing I do, from my career to motherhood to my work ethic. It is everything that I am the daughter of Cuban immigrants. I'd like for each of you to introduce yourselves based on whether you migrated here or if you're first generation, and to share with the audience what that has meant to your journey and your success. Lauri, we'll start with you.
Buenos dias. Well, my name is Lauri Campo. I'm a proud mom of a 25-year-old and a 20-year-old. And I'm extremely powerful young ladies. My journey here started 12 years ago. I moved from Puerto Rico, and I'm very proud of my town. It's called Morovis. You should check it in the map, okay? I think it's the capital of the world. Believe me. If you want to get something from me, you mention Morovi, and you'll have 50% already. And when I came here, my journey was wrapped with challenges, but also blessings. You know, when I came, I couldn't find a job. And I don't want to make this about me, but I want to say a little bit of all the jobs I have done. Cleaning houses, substitute teacher, paraprofessional, Spanish teacher, property appraiser, outreach person, community outreach, commissioner's aide, deputy director for Hispanic Federation, and state director for Hispanic Federation. And I am extremely proud of this for one reason. When I was thinking about this, I thought about all the people who helped me. And 99.9 people were women. I'm thinking about Dr. Carlota at Boone High School. I'm thinking about Celibet. I don't know if she's still in the property appraiser's office. She was in the reception, and I was telling her, please take this to the human resources, because I applied online, but I want to make sure that they got it. And thinking about Ana Cruz, Cecilia that is here today. All those people thought of me, and I want to do that for my team as well. So thank you.
You're up, Sammy.
Yes. I'm Sammy, and my journey has been a little tricky because I'm second generation, born in the Bronx, New York. My grandmother was the person that migrated in the 1940s. But my parents, being Nuyorican, purchased a farm in Puerto Rico, in Ciales, in the middle of nowhere, okay? Think Macondo. And I was raised there since the age of 8. And so every summer we traveled to New York, so we always had that connection. And my parents always spoke English at home, so that way we wouldn't lose the language. And how that impacted my journey and my success, although I'm still working on it, right, is that I was bicultural from the get-go. And so when I came back to the U.S., although I feel very Boricua from La Isla, right, I also was able to navigate, right, my Nuyorican background, if you will. And so I feel that I had certain advantages than most migrants, in the sense that I also had a very large extended family of tias, tios, and cousins that I could just crash in their house, right, for a night or two, be fed by them and be loved by them, right, when I was missing my parents. And so I think that that really impacted my transition into the U.S. mainland, because I had already experienced, right, the aspects of culture, not only from La Isla, but also from here. And so I feel blessed, like Lauri, in that respect, but I also felt empowered because I could see the contrast, right, as being a white-presenting Latina too, right, here on the U.S. mainland. And for the first time, it struck me that, wow, I thought I was hot shit when I moved to the U.S., right, with my master's degree, fully bilingual, young, but I had a lot to learn because I felt invisible.
Joanna, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Thank you so much for this invitation. I feel very honored to be here, and I love when I start with sharing our stories. So I in Puerto Rico, raised in Puerto Rico in a project. My mom cleaned houses for a living, and my dad served into the Army. And after he served, obviously, he came with a lot of challenges, mental challenges, was an alcoholic, and has a lot of struggles in our house. But my mom always emphasized the importance of education. So my mom said, you know, I don't want you to clean houses, I want you to study. So she always said, you have to study. So I was very, very perfectionist in having straight A's. I don't know, I was, if I got a B, I cry. So, and I also love volleyball. So since I was 10 years old, I play volleyball. So I think the sport and education gave me the strength to continue and to follow my mom advices. 1 minute, oh my God. So I came here in 1998, worked in the airport, then in a fast food restaurant because I felt very uncomfortable with my language. I felt that I did not speak enough English to run for anything or to even become a teacher, even though I have a master's degree. So inspired by a student that is here today, Samuel Vilches, he said, you have to run for school board. So he was the first one who told me, Lopez, your district, you are fighting for us. We need a Latina in the school board system so I can help you. So he became a valedictorian, went to Princeton, and when I became teacher of the year, he called me, okay, now you run for school board. I said, oh my God, are you crazy with this accent? No worries, you have to share your story. Your story is very similar of our stories. So you have to run and you have to talk about your story. You have to say that you're a single man. You have to say that you were a victim of domestic violence. You have to say that you suffer a lot in your childhood because people is going to feel related to you. And that's why I'm here. Thank you, Samuel.
Before we go on to Amy, real quick, I can do this because I've known Joanna a long time, so she won't get mad at me. She's always like, my English. How perfect is her English and how beautiful is her accent? Thank you. Thank you. There. Okay, Amy, take it away.
I love it. I love your English. I'm Amy Mercado. I'm the current Orange County property appraiser. I am first generation in theory. I was born in the Bronx. My family is blended, so it depends on which portion of the family we're talking about. So yes, in theory, I'm first generation. So my story is similar based on needs of our family. I actually was born and raised in the Bronx. I've been in Florida now actually longer than I ever lived in New York. I've been here for 28 years. I was only supposed to be here for 6 months. The initial reason behind my move here was because my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, and my life revolves around my grandmother, so you'll hear about her a lot, was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 57 with stage 4. And her physicians told us she only had 6 months to live. My parents, some of you know, are Victor and Carmen Torres. They had retired to Marion County. And so when my grandmother got diagnosed, my train of thought was, we're going to move to Florida so that she can die in peace with family. Joke's on us, or the universe, or the Lord, or the Creator, or whatever it is that you believe in, because those 6 months have been 28 years, and Grandma is still here.
Amazing. All right. We are going to get to Central Florida here and now. So that's a theme that I want to dig into with you all. But before I do, I want to ask each of you to dig a little deeper into getting to know us, right? And share with us some of your major challenges, and maybe even get specific when it comes to rising in your careers and rising even here in Central Florida and being Hispanic. And they've asked me to share as well. So I'll share briefly that for me, my biggest challenge has always been that I've lived with 1 foot at home in my Cuban culture and customs and another in this country with these customs and this culture. And it's always a push and pull for me. I am not the mother my mother was, because my mother didn't speak English and my mother stayed at home with us. And I have a career, and I am constantly judging the mother I am now because I am not the traditional Cuban mom who stayed home. And it is something I live with and struggle with every single day. I don't think that's exclusive, to Hispanic culture at all. But I consider that one of my biggest challenges. Another is this notion that I have grown or gotten certain jobs because I'm Hispanic and because somebody somewhere had to check a box. And I've had things said to my face. I work in an industry that's very competitive. I've had it said to my face, well, maybe I should get a Z at my last name so that I can get promoted. Well, we know you're just here to diversify the newsroom. These are all things that have been said to me on my journey, and things that I just, I hear, and it goes in here and it goes out here, because I know how hard I've worked, and I know that I've earned every single thing I've accomplished. So those are my two challenges, and I will send it to you, Lauri.
Well, I can say that my challenges, I can say internal and external. I relate with the language barrier. Even though I was working as a director in Puerto Rico, I came here and I'm like, what the heck, my English is not so beautiful. And I remember this meeting. I was in a meeting with engineers, with Commissioner Ortiz, and I remember saying out loud, because I was thinking, I'm very intelligent in Spanish. And that's a saying from Sofia Vergara. He looked at me and I'm like, I know you're intelligent. And I was like, I wouldn't even understand what those engineers were saying in transportation, even in Spanish. But I was putting myself in a position as a language barrier. So what I say as women is that sometimes we want to blend in and forget about being our true selves. So I learned that day when he reaffirmed to me, I know you're intelligent, that's why you're here, And the second thing is external barriers. When you go to a place and they don't have the access to services of the language or things, not even for women, for Latinas, for minorities at all. So what we can do, and that's why we're here, because we want to be that force of change. We still have a lot of places and things that happen around us that are not serving our communities, whichever community you're from. So that is important, because those externals have a great impact in us.
So as I mentioned before, I migrated from Puerto Rico right after finishing my master's degree in communications, because I figured, why not go to New York? I had a large extended family, right, where that could support me while I got established. And also, it's the media capital of the world. It just made sense. But I was faced almost immediately, because most media companies are owned, right, or run by white males, right, with two things: privilege and the patriarchy. And you think machismo is bad in Puerto Rico? Oh my goodness, it's alive and well here on the US mainland also. And so it was very challenging to navigate, right? Where do I fit? How do I push back? That was the biggest one, because in Puerto Rico, you could just snap back, right? But here, it was the cultural clash, right? About how do I even navigate this to come out, be recognized, and be pulled out of that invisibility that we felt. And it was really by identifying mentors within the organizations and really trying to figure out who will listen, who will see me for who I am. And so it took a hot minute, to get there. And I think, again, I had certain advantages, right? My education, I'm white presenting, right? Although I hold my plátano badge proudly, but
that's a plantain.
And also I'm very
a plátano is a plantain.
Is a plantain, yes.
Badge. Okay.
And then I'm also very vocal, right? As you can already tell, so that helps. So while I was trying to learn how to navigate the system, it was just a learning experience for me, to find those allies or accomplices that will help me along the way.
Well, for me, as an elected official, the major challenge is the stereotype and the expectation of what is an elected official. People look at an elected official as a married person, lawyer, maybe a person that is a business owner. They don't look at a single mom growing the project, remember? And also divorce. Have this story, have accent. I don't have a golden retriever. I love them. I have a Sharpei. That's not part of the expectation either. So it has to be like in a very functional family, very nice picture, very, very traditional. So that's the major challenge, because when people talk to you, they expect you to think in a certain way, to speak in a certain way, to dress in a certain way, and that's open doors sometimes, okay? But most of the time, people discriminate you because they think that because you speak in a certain way or grew up in a certain way or have a different professional field, you're not effective in that field. And, you know, and for me, those stereotypes helps me a lot to open door to spaces, because sometimes people also feel threats. They say, you know, I'm going to invite her because she doesn't speak a lot, and I don't think she's going to, you know, she's going to agree with everything, but surprise, I'm not going to agree with everything. I'm going to agree with my constituents. I'm going to voice my constituents. I'm going to represent the values of my district. So maybe you see me quiet when I have to be quiet because I have 2 ears, 1 mouth, but when I have to speak, it's like I have 3 mouths, okay? So sometimes the stereotypes, you know, make me feel uncomfortable, but sometimes say, you know what, I'm taking advantage of this because now I'm in that table and I appointed for that group, so now I'm gonna be bold and outspoken and represent my district. So it's the way we take our experiences, but I think that generalizing is not the right way to have conversations and to achieve our goals. But I think that helps me anyways. I don't see it as I don't see it as a barrier. I see it as an opportunity to represent better who I represent, that is Central Florida.
Where to begin? Let me just start with, I was born a preemie to a teenage mom in the 70s, the early 70s. And so when I say I have been fighting for my life, it's not a joke. Like, this is real. The majority of the people that I went to school with in my elementary school years, because I grew up in the South Bronx in the 70s, so the burning of the Bronx wasn't history for me. We lived it. And so I have learned to navigate that system in real time, in real life. And in my current roles, I say we're scaling in real time. We're doing things today. We don't have the opportunity to learn later and put it to practice. We're doing it today. We're gonna make the mistakes and we're gonna do it today. I have been confused for everything but my positions all the time. I'm only 5 feet tall, so that's also part of it. But I'll tell you that I have clean butts and I have kicked butts to get from service to C-suite. And there is absolutely no one that can tell me I can't do something and I don't prove them wrong. This current role, the majority of the people, many of them in this room that I respect, didn't think I can do it. Counsel me to go the opposite. Don't do it. Why are you doing it? Whatever. At the end of the day, I was like, not only can I do it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do great at it, because this is what I do. The role that I actually have today is an administrative function. Yes, it's an elective role and position, but it's a leadership administrative function. I have been doing this my entire life. And so what I'll share with all of you in the room is, regardless of being whatever my culture is, Latina, Afro-Latina, and that has all kinds of nuances into it, I am capable, and watch me.
And, you know, speaking of challenges, for the Latinas here, anyone in the room, if you want to participate, raise your hand if you've ever been the Latina in the room and made to feel like you're just too much. It's too much. You're too much. Yeah, we're not. We're not. You're just getting started. All right. And we are just getting started, because now I want to get to this portion of our conversation where we talk about Central Florida here and now. And we are going to talk about the Hispanic vote, because I think we all have a lot to say about that. But before we do, I'm going to ask not to go to the vote just yet. I want to just speak generally. If you are a business owner here, if you are running for office here, if you run a nonprofit here or an organization, I want to ask each of our panelists to give our community advice on how to best connect with our demographic, this growing demographic. Once again, over 30% of Orange County, 56% of our school district, and it's just growing from there. So how do we best connect in general terms before we get to the vote? Lauri.
I think that more than anything, how you connect with our communities, I usually hear the word change. We need to change. No, we need to embrace this nation, this county, this state is evolving. We're changing. When we accept something, the programs will come, the service. How you reach out to our community, we're very open. Start with food, you know. But we're very open and eager to be part of this nation. That's why we moved here. That's what, there's many countries in the world, and we decided to be here with a purpose because we believe that this is America, the land of where the freedom is available for all, that we don't ask for nothing for free. We know it's not easy, but we want the possibility to happen. So reach out to us in a normal way and just tell us, hey, we're here, how we can work together. I don't want you to work for me. I don't want you to do my work. How I can, I will come to you and say, how can I help you with my skills? And as a nonprofit, a community that I serve that has a lot of needs when they come, the main thing they ask me for, English classes, economic empowerment through education and certification. Rarely I get hunger relief, like no, they want to know how they can fit and serve with their own skills in this nation. So when you want to reach out to us, just chill, you know? Chill, come and say how we can work together.
So, in my work in New York City with media, I was working with all of the En Español magazines, People en Español, Glamour en Español, Vogue en Español, all of these En Español titles. So I've been selling the Hispanic market for close to 30 years, okay? And in 2006, the Association for Hispanic Advertising Agencies commissioned, I think it was Florida State University, to do a study. It was called the Latino Identity Study, because a lot of advertisers were like, well, why should we invest in advertising specifically for Latinos, right? If they're so different, it's so hard to reach them. And so they invested in doing this study, because with data, it's easier to sell, right? And what came out was that Latinos, although we're very nuanced, right? Depending on where we came, there are 4 key areas where Latinos are more similar to each other than not, okay? The first one is interpersonal communication, which means how we relate to one another, which is what Laudi was referring to, right? Just come, talk to us, right? Engage with us. Time and space perception, so Latin time, yes, that is a thing, okay? And the kissy, kissy, huggy, huggy, right? Time and space perception, all of that. Spirituality and our belief systems, right? That are really grounded and rooted in family and in our belief in a higher being. And then last but not least, gender roles, although that is changing somewhat now with modernization, right? And so these findings really helped better sell, okay, the Latino market, but it's sad to say that still today, it's a uphill battle. It really is an uphill battle, and it's still very much part of the equation to pull us out of our invisibility.
My goodness, that question is just for a town hall of 2 hours. I'm gonna try my best to 2 minutes. 2 minutes, yes, okay. So first of all, we have to acknowledge that the Latino community are very diverse. Try to just, make a conclusion by reference is not good. Sometimes you know better Sammy that come from New York, and Sammy give you a feedback about the Puerto Rican in Central Florida. She's Puerto Rican, she knows. No, she doesn't. Okay, I can make that conclusion. Or maybe she knows a lot because of her field and her profession. But maybe I talked to somebody who born here, Sofia, born in Florida. Maybe she knows, but she never was engaged in politics. And maybe I talk with somebody who come from Puerto Rico. Don't talk to me about politics. I hate politics, blah, blah, blah. Because the experience that they have here in Florida is not the best after they came from PR. When in PR, politics is is part of our culture. Everybody do politics in PR. We're crazy about politics. I don't understand sometimes why Puerto Rican coming from Puerto Rico here are not that engaged, but it's because we are not creating platforms and spaces to make them related. We have to talk individually with them. Puerto Ricans are different, so Venezuelan are different from Mexican. We need to accept, I don't have enough knowledge about Mexico. Can you please explain to me what are the issues of the Mexican here in Central Florida? Because we talk about, for the first time in history, since 1998 that I came from Puerto Rico, during the immigration bill, for the first time, I see round table of diverse Latinos. Say, oh my God, finally we're together, okay? And not even black people, white people, because everybody's affected by the immigration bill. You see, we have one issue in common that make us come together and try even to understand certain Spanish words, because I want to know what is happening with the Mexican community or with the Venezuelan community. So I think we need to have that uncomfortable conversations and be clear. You cannot win the trust of the Latinos if you don't talk to them about their issues, if you don't go to their spaces. Something that I learned from Samuel, that is also my coach, by the way. He told me, Puerto Ricans are going to vote for you. You have to go to the white community and to the black community and talk about the issues of our Latino community so they understand that they can vote for you and they can trust in you. And I did it, and today I feel so comfortable, so very comfortable in go to every space, because make me feel that I am understanding better other cultures. I don't have to judge anybody. Even if people said, you know what, she's Afro-Latina, but she's not black. Well, you know what? My ancestor came from Africa too. And in Puerto Rico, we also have slavery. So we need uncomfortable conversation. You will see that we have a lot in common with our Latino community. And that's what we have to work on. Especially the Democratic Party needs to have this uncomfortable conversation. We are very similar in our issues. And this is something that can come together and make us stronger.
So my take on how to communicate with the Latino community. So I was born and raised in the mainland, right? So I don't speak to the same issues that someone from the island speaks to, even though we happen to be from the same ethnicity or culture or island, right? And so what I tell literally anyone that asks me, and I was having similar conversation today, is how do you want people to communicate with you? Meet them where they are. Don't come at any community, especially the Latino community, but any community, with an ask directly. So one of the things that I experienced as the Puerto Rican elected at the time during Maria was, oh my God, how are we gonna get all the Puerto Ricans that are coming from the island to vote X? If you show up to any one of those folks, properties or locations, because many of them didn't even have a place to stay, and ask them to register to vote and start talking about voting, you're going to turn them off forever. But if you come to them and you say, genuinely, how can I help you? Where are you today? Because even in their locations, different jurisdictions on the island, how they navigated their system was different than the system that they are now having to learn. They don't see that. My role today does not exist on the island of Puerto Rico. So when I'm speaking to someone from the island, I know that my conversation, when they ask me, what do? My first question is, do you know what the CRIM is? CRIM is a centralized government agency, which is how they assess property on the island. Is done through the government, okay? If they say yes, then I explain, this is what I do here. There are 67 positions here. Every county has their own. If they say no, then I have to go through a different route. Have you owned property? Do you know anybody that's owned property, et cetera? So you have to meet that individual where they are before you have an ask.
Excellent. So now we're going to dig a little deeper into the Hispanic vote and how really there is no such thing. It doesn't exist. And I will share with you personally that as I mentioned, I'm the daughter of Cuban immigrants, and my parents came from Cuba right after Fidel Castro took power with my brother, and they had nothing. It's that typical story that you hear. And I will tell you, though, that as I grew up and I watched my parents eventually become American citizens, I have never seen two more patriotic people in my life than my parents. I remember quizzing my mom for her American citizenship test, and I'd be like, okay, I'm going to ask you in English, who was the first president? And she'd say, Jorge Washington. I'm like, don't call him Jorge, like that wasn't his name, you know? So I was very much part of the process, right? But I've never known two more patriotic people than my Cuban parents, because they lived that experience of having that vote taken away from them in their country. And I'm going to tell you also, immigration is trauma. It's traumatic. And when you are sitting across from a person who has immigrated to this country or migrated from a place like Puerto Rico, it's very possible that it was a traumatic experience for them, and that they are living trauma in this new culture with a new language and new customs and a new school district. I mean, can you imagine? So I'd ask for you to look at people that you meet from different countries through that lens and give them some grace, because it's a very, very real thing. And so with that, let's dig deeper into the Hispanic vote, and how I always like to say, there's no such thing. So take it away, Lauri, with that.
I want to say this, and I think it was Joanna that mentioned, when Puerto Rican kids are born on the island, they're born and they already know the party they're going to vote, and they have the card. I'm not kidding. That's a sport in Puerto Rico. You say baseball, basketball, and politics. That's when they come here is another thing. I worked in Puerto Rico for over 25 years in politics. That was my thing. And here, I couldn't figure out really the system. It became harder. So that's the first challenge you need to tackle for certain groups of Hispanics, because I'm talking about Puerto Ricans. Another thing, my mother always said, don't put your eggs in the same basket. Not because someone cannot vote today doesn't mean that they cannot vote tomorrow. We know, our community knows about politics. That's why they're here, because they lost their freedom because of politics in their country, because they're being harassed in the country, and they're here. You can use those resources to educate, mobilize. Those are the best, because they know what they lost through a bad system. So when you think, I'm thinking about Samuel, why he's great? Because he went through that. And he became an advocate to another person and empower other communities. And I see here a Jessica, and I see here an Ellie, because these are people that can transform the community. So don't always look at the voter, the one that can give you an immediate vote, but look at the possibilities of that movement of people and educating. Because at the end, think about this. Every 30 seconds, a Latinx turns 18 years old in this nation. And another thing, and I don't have time, but this is a good detail, like Miami-Dade has more Latinos than Georgia and North Carolina together. That's the power of our vote. By the way, I don't know if that still happens with after SB 1718, sorry. But that is, but saying that there's a power here. Just don't look at the immediate vote, look at the whole picture.
There is a Latino vote, but it's like a sleeping giant, right? And the minute it wakes up, I think it's going to roar, and roar big. As I mentioned before, it's about cultural competency, really, right? Understanding what makes us tick. And there is a way to have universal messaging that really resonates with Latinos overall, that will motivate them and compel them to be more active from a civic engagement standpoint and in the electoral process. I think that in the end, what we're looking to do is really build trust with the community, within the community too. There's a lot of mistrust within the community, and it's just important to approach voters of any background, really, right? From a human-centered approach, meeting them where they're at. I agree with Amy. And with that, I want to share, as I started digging in my files, in my archives, because when I first started my business 15 years ago, one of the things we did was really work with a large hospital network here and understanding Hispanic patients, because they had said that over 40% of the patients coming in through their ER were Latino. and they had no idea what the hell to do with that, right? So here we come in and help them. And I pulled from my archives the results of the focus groups we did back then, and I think it applies. And they go, let me see if my arm is strong enough. Yes. It goes, bridging the cultural gap. Show me you know me. Be knowledgeable. Speak to me in my language. Be able. Demonstrate that you really care. Be genuine. Keep me and my people informed. Be a resource. And live the experience with us. Be involved. And it really touches upon those 4 quadrants, right, that I mentioned before, that proximity, that involvement, and that care that we so need to feel that we're part of the process.
Wow, this is a great question. I agree with both of you. And going back to Laudi, about the movement. The majority of the students who helped me to run for school board, most of them, they did not even citizens. We have a lot of undocumented students, residents, we have TPS, we have DACA, and I remember that at the beginning, even though we have like maybe 100, most of them are ESOL students. The majority of them, they didn't even speak English. But we have flyers in both languages, and when they knock on those doors, everybody, and even the senior, for me, I saw the impact was more on the senior citizens in District 43 now, District 2 at that moment, school board. They even cry and hug them, and they even contribute to our campaign with money because they felt, oh my God, they didn't even speak English, they didn't even have the right to vote, and then they're knocking on doors. It's like, wow, what are we doing here, So I think that the movement is very important, and everybody can mobilize and spread out the word. And sometimes people think, I don't have citizenship, so I'm not going to knock on doors, I'm not going to do anything. No, you can spread out the word, you can share social media, and also talk about these topics. But I have 3 main points. I think that is very important to mobilize the Hispanic vote. One is understand the issues. If you don't understand the issues of every group that come here to Central Florida, it's going to be harder for you to have the conversation. Even though start by saying, I don't know enough about Venezuela. Can you please explain to me this mess? Because I don't know why you have all of those meetings. Talk to them. And also include us in your platforms. Most of the time people want to run for office, and they are in a very high, Latino demographic. Not even one aspect is related to our community. Do you think that person is going to vote for you? A Latino is not going to vote for them. They don't feel related. So, and the third one is at least the flyers, send it bilingual flyers, Try to know more about your demographics. Maybe you have people, even Portuguese, study your demographics so you can be bilingual in your flyers and people feel more related. Try to have at least one person in your campaign that speaks Spanish just in case they have questions about your platform and your intentions in run for that seat. So that's it. Thank you.
So I come at it from a different perspective, mostly. Again, for the same reasons, right? Those lived experiences and where we come from. So I'll give you the example. I happen to be, I said earlier, a blended family, both growing up and my current, right, my immediate family. I am the mom of 6. 3 are bonus, 3 I birthed, 5 were raised together. The age gap for my children are 25 to 38. My oldest biological is 30. So you see the difference? And I have a 1-year-old grandson. But in my immediate household, not only did I have that level of change and difference in age from my children, I also have a mother-in-law who lives with us. I have been a caretaker that I share with my mom, with my grandmother. 2 different generations. So I have from boomers, actually older, because my grandmother is World War II, right? She was born in 37. So from the greatest generation to Z. How I communicate with every single member of my immediate family is different. And it's still the same message. I still need to get across whatever it is that I want, right? Or whatever I'm going to say. But how I speak, obviously, to my grandson is one way. How I speak to all of my children is a different way, and it's not the same way for each one. And how I explain things or how I share things with my grandmother are very different. And so, yes, it's the same message. So how am I going to get that Hispanic vote or communicate within that community? And I'll end with how my dad does this, which I love. Many of you know that my dad is a canvasser. He stays on the ground. He calls it belly to belly. He thrives on the thing. I hate the heat in Florida, so there. My dad will take a canvas list that'll be 40 people deep, 70 people maybe, and he'll talk to 150 people. Why? Because he goes for that list and that first name, and then he starts asking questions at the door. He's looking for Amy Mercado on the list, but he'll be like, so do you have any children? Do you have any grandchildren? Do you have any cousins? Do you have any whatever? And people talk to you, right? And they'll explain. And so he'll end up, prior to all this chaos, which is also part of the reason why I think they're being disenfranchised, is registering voters in one door, applying for vote by mail, same door, getting the person that he was actually looking for and leaving information for all of them, and then coming back. That's how you get your Hispanic vote.
Okay, so this flew by because this portion of the program is over. We're out of time, but we do want to turn the mic over to league members for their questions. So any league members that have any questions, the mic is to my left. There it is. It's right over there, the mic in that corner. It's open for members to come up and ask anyone on the panel any questions. Pat Grierson is there at the mic to assist. Do we have anyone?
And I want to let you know I found an earring, so ladies, please check your ear if you lost. Oh,
Everybody. Somebody lost it.
good.
Generation.
All right.
It's actually Phil's ear. He lost it.
I should have said men and women. Okay, I'm letting you hold the mic, but I'm not supposed to.
No, I actually had a question.
Hey everyone, do I need to introduce myself again? No, I'm kidding. I'm Tiffany Hughes. I'm the president of League of Women Voters Orange County. One, thank you all for really, really great conversation today. We really appreciate it. We spent quite a bit of time talking about like the differences within our Hispanic community and how do we message, support, and be an allyship with those differences, right? My question is, if you all individually had an army of about 800 powerhouse women focused on 3 issues, what would those issues be?
Amy, go ahead.
I'll go first. The same issues that are important to you. Housing, how you live, safety, and education. Everybody needs those things. They're basic human rights. So where you are, those human rights that you want to make sure are protected for yourself, that's what you should focus on with all communities.
If I have to add, we get those, and you might think Hispanic, Latinos talk about immigration. It's important. It is important for us, but it's not usually the main one. It's usually education. It's usually economic empowerment. And you know what? Latinos are, and I wrote this because 32% of the entrepreneurs in Florida are Latinos, 36 in Orlando, and out of those, 43 are women. Check that out, because we want to be an empower, like a powerhouse in terms of economics as well. So we do care about immigration, and it's important. And me as Latina, as a Puerto Rican, is extremely important. But you have to think about a lot of things and issues, and one of them is education for our families and the community we serve.
And I'm glad that you mentioned entrepreneurship, because as an entrepreneur, from this lens, right, it's building wealth, gaining access, and increasing representation.
And also, when we speak about social justice, we think about women's rights, LGBTQ rights, public education rights, we speak small business opportunities, because we are not having that. So I think that affordable housing is also under social justice, even healthcare. is under social justice. I think that sometimes social justice is, the people talk about that only in one aspect, but in reality, I think that everything is related to social justice, and we're suffering a lot in the state of Florida under the current government with social justice. Very, very unfair, very discriminatory. So I think that's for me.
Hi, I'm Susan Sussman, a League member, also born in the Bronx. Here's my question. I live in a multicultural neighborhood. Okay, next door on one side I have a Puerto Rican family, the other side from Peru, down the street Brazil, across the street Spain. I don't know when to use Latino or Hispanic, or are they interchangeable because my Brazilian neighbor said, we're Latino, and the other ones didn't care. So when do I use what, or can I use both at any time?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm confused myself sometimes.
This is how I explain it to my clients, right? So Hispanic first was a term invented by the U.S. Census, right? To classify people of Spanish-speaking or descendants, right, of people from Spanish-speaking countries. So that's why Brazilians say, I'm not Hispanic, I'm Latino. Latino comes from Latin-derived languages, which are the Romance languages, right, which includes Spanish, Portuguese and Spanish and and Italian, right? And so descendants of all Latin-derived languages, right, or Latino America, Latin America would be considered Latinos. I hope that helps.
And also ask, because, it's sometimes, I have to ask, you want me to say she or he or, whatever. So I think that we should ask, because some people feel offended because Hispanic is only emphasizing the roots from Spain and is taking away the roots of our native and our Black communities. So I think that you should ask.
And thank you for the question. Thank you for that question. Yeah.
My name is Carmen Torres, and I've been a member of the League for about 20 years. And I don't have a question. First, I'd like to thank the panelists, but I have a request. I have never seen so many Latinas in this room in all the hot topics that I've been to. And I would challenge every Latina here to please join the League. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Levy, also from the Bronx. And I just want to ask the question that I think is the big elephant in the room that a lot of people have. Why in this state of Florida are so many Latinos voting Republican? It's just, we just don't understand. So somebody give us an answer to that.
I think the most appropriate person to answer would be Laudy. Is probably going to be the most politically correct, but I'm going to say this before I turn it to her. Misinformation, miseducation, and misunderstanding. Okay? And some of that really is, there are aspects of that are unintentional, but there are other aspects that are not. And so it takes groups like this, and Tiffany, thank you for the question about how the Army of 800, that's really the charge. It's communicating with, as a nonprofit, nonpartisan organizations, to educate on the reality of the civic piece to this, right? The partisanship can be educated by others. The nonprofits can focus on the how. How do you do this? How do you get it? How do you correct it? Because I have knocked on doors, and I will share this, where the folks are like, how am I registered independent or Republican or Democrat? I didn't register that way. That's wrong. Well, the only individual that can fix that is you. Going to the supervisor of elections, here's how you can do that, and sharing that information. Because it can be anything. It could be the wrong checkbox, or they've met someone that was doing their civic duty and engagement on the street and registering folks to vote, and they can't tell them who to register with and for. And so when they start educating them on certain pieces, and they'll say independence is this, or nonpartisan is that, or Republican is such and such, the definition of how they interpret what they're being told versus what the reality of that is very different. And I'll tell you that folks that are registering as no party affiliations, y'all just throwing your votes away, because it really is a two system. Just pick a system. And the only way you're going to make a change is whatever system. Because non-parties, your independent thought is not being taken into consideration, because the majority, not all, but the majority of the elections are partisan. And so you won't even see your candidate until after someone has actually won. So your vote didn't count because you didn't even exercise that vote.
I'll just, can I add something really quickly as the Cuban up here? Because I'm the elephant in the room, right? Because let's talk about how Cubans vote in Florida. And I don't think I can let that question go without once again bringing up what I brought up before, and that's the psychology of all this. Like, let's not forget that there is a psychology behind how you vote. And for the Cuban population, I can tell you, it is so tied to the trauma of what that experience was. And we have had candidates that have come along and parties that have come along and have tapped into it and have known exactly how to tap into that fear of history repeating itself. I have had cousins, my own father, people in my family who have explained to me why they're voting the way they are, and I can see it in their faces and in their behavior and their language. It's all tied back to that trauma that happened in our family that made us leave our country. So I would just ask that you know that you consider that, because I think it's a very real thing in how people vote.
Yes, so going back of what you're saying, and also Amy with the misinformation, because that's part of the misinformation, because we don't know what is happening in those countries. When we are registering to vote, we just register to vote. We don't know what is happening there, and also we cannot educate them at that moment, just register with this party or with the other one. But I don't see enough spaces to educate about what is being a Republican and being a Democrat. I did not see, maybe we have something new, but I didn't see since 1998. So, and that's one problem. The other problem, for example, in Puerto Rico, we have two main parties. Blue, I'm not going to say names because we're going to stay here, but blue and red, let's say it that way. So when we come and knock on doors, so the Democrats are the populares and the blue are the, no. Don't think like that, because it's the other way around. So I try to say, no, you have to erase the colors from PR, because this is different here. So they don't know, and happened to me a lot when I knock on doors. They always ask the same questions. And also I see the misinformation is because we have the Republican Party with this strategy, offensive strategies, okay, all the time. And we are here defending ourselves all the time. As a coach, volleyball coach, okay? I remember that I cannot win a game only with an offensive play. I need to have offensive plays, defensive plays, but we're just working on defending ourselves and trying to clarify what they're saying. We need to create also an offensive strategy. I don't see it. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe today somebody can approach me and educate me better, but I don't see that type of strategy. So they're using that strategy. So when we come and register to vote, our Latinos, the majority of them, they think that, they say, okay, I'm religious, I'm Catholic, I'm Pentecostal. They are very conservative on those values. So here we go. The Republican Party only take two main issues, that is abortion and LGBTQ, and they say, no, because I'm religious, I'm going to vote for this, and that. No. There is a lot of bills that is affecting our churches. There's a lot of bills that is affecting our communities, and not necessarily is the Republican Party that is representing you. But we don't have that conversation with the Latinos. And that's something that we have to work on and educate them.
And I want to add to that it's proper investments in communicating and educating with the Latino community, because I firmly believe that when that giant wakes up, we're not going to be invisible anymore. We will be invincible.
And as a C3, I want to add some C3. I want to add into the educational piece is very important. And you have to understand, like, for example, taken from Joanna, Puerto Rico, the two major parties are based on statehood or status quo. So that comes here. You want to be statehood in Puerto Rico, you automatically are going to say you're from a party. Have that in mind. I'm just saying education. People don't understand. And also that we don't have in Puerto Rico and other countries, what Nancy mentioned is very important, but also we don't have, we have centralized government. We don't understand what here implies to local government and the power, because that doesn't exist in our communities. That doesn't exist in our, like the governor will point at the OCPA, the school, that does the governor in Puerto Rico and other places. And you might think Puerto Rico is a territory. Yes, it is, but we're still different. And also remember, the way you speak to Latinos is different. Pastel in Puerto Rico is a different pastel in Colombia, you know? Pastel is a cake. In Puerto Rico is something we eat with plantains in December. So yes, so when you think about this type of things, yes, it will take a little bit more time. Yes, it will take a little bit of investment, but the results are there. And another, funders should understand that the nonprofits are a C3 that we have here. We know what is happening. It's not only registering, it's educating. You can register 1 million people, but you need to educate, because if not, you're wasting your money. And again, at the end, it's the people's decision, but without proper education, you don't have the results you think or you want to have.
Okay, I think that wraps up our Q&A. I'm going to ask that you all stay seated for just a moment as we have some closing announcements from Ana Alvarez-Boyd. And as she comes up, I'd just like to thank you so much for this day, for this opportunity. We have a lot of work to do as Latinas, right, Ana? And I think you'll agree. We have a lot of work to do to empower our community that continues to grow here. And part of that work is this moment, is this event. So thank you to the panelists. Thank you for having me. We are pure love and energy, and I think you saw that today, and we're here. We're here to serve, and we're excited to be part of this community. Thank you very much.
Wow. So I'm Ana Alvarez-Boyd. I'm Orange County League and also State of Florida League. But most importantly, I'm second generation Mexican-American and first-generation college. And I'm feeling kind of emotional because I've been fighting for this for a long time, to invite these women in to make this happen. And, you know, to Tiffany's question about the Army is also growing on our college campuses. This league has done a fantastic job pulling together the first college league chapter and bringing it into this community. So great job, ladies, great job. The first step to embracing and welcoming is the spirit of Latinidad is this. This is the beginning. And mil gracias to all of you. So the announcements, here they are. First, we ask that you sign the clean water petition. So stop on your table at the table. Oh, she's waving over here. Stop on the table on your way out. Sign the petition to put abortion on the ballot for the 2024 election. There are petitions at all of your tables, and están en español también. They're also in Spanish, right? So we're doing this right. Thank you to our caterer, Cuisiners. Fantastic job. The flan was really good. There's an extended discussion immediately following next door in the Winter Park Library, second floor. It's going to begin at 1:15, and I will be there helping moderate the conversation. Our next hot topics is Wednesday, October 11th, and we're very proud to present Maxwell and Maxwell, from Capitol Hill to the editorial page, the dialogue between congressman and columnist Maxwell Alejandro Frost and Scott Maxwell. So really fun conversation. I hope to see you all there. And then upcoming events, September 19th is National Voter Registration Day. Be voter ready. So that's in our lane, ladies. That's where we play. Speakeasy, Orange County's most conscientious happy hour, returns Saturday, September 23rd, 2:30 p.m. at the Winter Park Library. There will be 2 films and wine, appetizers, conversation. The films are Deciding Vote, followed by Halls of Power. And some of the filmmakers will be on hand to discuss those documentaries. So that sounds like a fantastic event. October 17th, Fall League Showcase and New Member Welcome is at 6 p.m. right here, Winter Park Community Center at 721 West New England Avenue, a little bit close by here, I think, right? And if you are a bilingual speaker, we need you. Please volunteer as a poll worker for 2024. See Mary Montanas, this went off. Okay. Oh, wait, it's back. And so that is what, if you are a guest today, please join the league. The QR codes are on the slide. They should be up here in a minute. And I want to remind everyone that the league is nonpartisan. Everyone is welcome. All views are welcome in this space. And I think that's what makes us special and adds to our power. So we invite everyone to volunteer and donate. Is there any other announcements anyone would like to make? If not, oh, yes, the QR code's on the table. I think I said that, yeah? The QR code's on the table if you want to join or donate. If there is nothing else, I also want to extend my incredible gratitude to Susan Windmiller, who is a force of nature and just the best partner in making things come together. Thank you all, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month.